Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you are doing well. I'm just going to make sure that the audio is actually coming through. Let's see. Everybody is working. So, what's up? Welcome to Wealth Wednesday. This is going to be probably shorter than normal. It's going to be a quick one. I'm just going to tell you a quick story. And if you're catching the replay, let me know. Give me a hashtag replay. Show me some love. Let me know that you were here and that you engaged. And so I'll give another minute or so for people to pop on. But I am Justin Glover. Welcome to this live stream. This Facebook broadcast or this live stream broadcast is going to benefit any of those of you that maybe you just want to feel a little bit better today while making someone else also feel good. Anybody that would like to improve your financial situation, this will help with that. And also maybe if you're feeling a little bit down on yourself, this will help maybe give you some inspiration. So super quick story. What I'm going to share with you is how a random act of kindness back over a decade ago actually helped shift the course of my life completely and probably kept me from killing myself. So that's what we're going to talk about. Which before we get into it, I want to do some good news in the comments. So as you come on, let me know what's some good news in your world, something that's happened that went well in the last 24 hours. Just drop it in the comments. Let me know, and then we'll do some shout outs and we'll get into it. So my good news is decorating the Christmas tree today, and I'm super pumped about that because I don't know, it's always fun, right? And so I'm going to get my my 4-year-old not too long after I do this live stream. I'm going to go get her, and we're going to go on mission Christmas tree shopping and get everything that we can and make that happen tonight. So we also had a really good webinar last night that we ran for a small group of people. So that was cool as well. So that's my good news. Let me know in the comments, what is your good news as you come on? And then I'm going to tell you this quick story of how a random act of kindness over a decade ago kept me from probably killing myself. And so I'll start by, well, I'll jump into the story here in just a minute. Let me give some shout outs. Let's see who we got. Cindy is in the house. What's up, Cindy Wagner? Elena is here. Good morning. Actually, it's afternoon. It's not even morning anymore. So good day to you. Teresa Key is in the house. So good to see you here. Elena loved the webinar. Awesome. Good. And so special shout out to my buddy Ray Higdon over in the Rank Makers community. The whole premise of why I'm sharing you this today, it's Wealth Wednesday. The last 2 weeks you've heard me talk about Wealth Wednesday. That comes from, I got that from my buddy Ray Higdon over in the Rank Makers community. By the way, if you're in business and you want to have somebody like beat you up every day and give you action steps and keep you and your team in line, you might check out rankmakers.com. They only open up every so often. Right now, they're currently open for, I believe, the last time for this year. And so rankmakers.com, I'll maybe drop the link in the comments, or somebody can do that. So that's the inspiration for this. That's where I got the whole idea of Wealth Wednesday. Now, just to be clear, I'm going to tell you this story here in a second, and you'll see why I've always been a fan of doing random acts of kindness, because I've been doing them for a long time. They're just a part of my weekly routine, my weekly ritual. Because of lots of reasons. I've talked about many of those reasons in the past couple of weeks on previous broadcasts, but I think you'll see why, kind of where that comes from whenever I share this story with you here in a moment. But yeah, that's kind of where it comes from, is over in the Rank Makers community. And so shout out to Mr. Ray Higdon over there. So let's get into this. 2008 was the year. 2008 is when this story starts. And I remember being in my room. I lived in my mom's garage at that point. I still lived at home. I had moved out made poor financial decisions, forced to move back into the garage because my bedroom was already taken again. And so I was living there. This one particular night that I remember, I was super down on myself, super sad, depressed, defeated, because I had things that I wanted in my life, but I had no means inside of how I could possibly pay for them. I didn't have the financial means to pay for them. I was already working 3 jobs. I was already putting in all the hours. I was already going after it the way that everybody in my world told me to go after it. Hey, work harder, work smarter, work more. So I got another job, then I got another job, and then I started dialing in on my, my bartending and waiting tables job and getting better, and I got better at that. And I was making the maximum amount of money at all 3 of these jobs that I had, but it still wasn't enough. I wanted more. But I found myself with no time and not that much extra money, if at all. I was still, just because of poor money decisions I was in, I was still always, depending on the next paycheck, the next money to come in. And so my only solution that I knew back then, because I wanted more, but I couldn't work more hours. And so my only solution was mowing yards. I thought, what, if I can mow some yards, make some extra money, that'll help me get some, make a little bit more money and buy some of the stuff that I would like to buy, do some of these things that I would like to do. But I was at a point this particular night, I couldn't even afford to properly fund that. This night that I'm talking about, we had literally just been turned down. My mom, my stepdad, and myself, we drove like an hour to go and try to buy a lawnmower. Mine was jacked up. It wasn't doing a good enough job, and I needed a new one in order for me to be able to mow yards and make the extra money that would allow me to do to get myself out of this terrible financial situation. And for me, that was like the only possible way to get out of the situation. And that was kind of, my ingenuity. And so I was, again, I had credit card debt, school debt, poor money management habits. And so all of that led me to this poor financial situation. And so I remember, like, we're driving back, we had just been turned down because they told us, here's the lawnmower that you need, but unfortunately you guys can't buy it. You don't have the money to pay for it. You don't have the credit to even get our financing. And so that was like the final blow for me. And I was down. I was defeated. I was sad. All right. I was crying. I was unhappy and hopeless. I felt hopeless. All right. Which is hopeless is pretty damn near close to the bottom of the barrel in terms of like feelings that you can have, all right, emotions, right? On the spectrum of emotions, hopelessness is a real shitty one, right? It's right there in line with depression, because that's kind of part of it, right? And it's not a good, but that's where I was. And eventually, after a period of time, the good thing about being in a period of hopelessness is eventually you graduate into anger, which not always, like, we don't see that as a graduation. It's just, now I'm freaking mad at the world, mad at people, mad at God, mad at whoever. But the good thing, like, the thing is, anger is actually a higher vibration than hopelessness. Anger, like, you're doing better if you're angry, right? It's a good thing. You're getting closer. You can't go from hopelessness to happiness without going through some of the other steps, the other phases. And so at this point, I was hopeless, and I cried for a little while, and then finally, that shifted into anger. And so then I was just mad, but I was mad at myself for making the poor financial decisions, but I was also mad at God. I just didn't understand why I was even in that position in the first place, and why I would be put in a position where I had no way out that I could see. And then right around that time, I heard a preacher. There was a TV show playing, and this preacher came on, and he was talking about something, I have no idea what, but he quoted Jeremiah 29:11 from the Bible, which is one of my all-time favorite Bible verses. It says, "For I know the plans for you, plans to help you, not to hurt you." And so for whatever reason, that stood out to me, and I was angry at God for me being in that situation. But then that one little sentence that I heard on TV that lifted me to a new vibration, one of clearer thinking. And so at that point, I was no longer angry, and I just knew, I had a knowing that there was a way out, and I just didn't know what it was yet. I just hadn't found it yet. But as soon as I had that thought, like immediately whenever I had that thought, and I kind of graduated from anger, and then I thought, wait a minute, maybe there has to be a way out. I just don't know it yet. And so that took me out of anger, and I was kind of moving up the scale, towards happiness. That's what I was wanting, or relief. And so I remembered, as soon as I had that thought, a thought popped into my head. I remembered a book that somebody had told me about. This was months before, I had somehow found my way into a business meeting at a pretty cheap restaurant. Somebody was pitching me on Amway, trying to recruit me into their Amway business, network marketing business. And they mentioned a book. Back then, and I wrote it down when he was talking to me, because the book sounded like it might be able to help me one day. And so I'm here this one night, and I hear this preacher say this on TV, and that kind of gets me to realize, okay, no reason to be mad. Maybe there is a way. And as soon as I thought maybe there is a way, I remembered the name of this book, or I remembered this book. I didn't remember the name of it. So I went searching for the folder. I found the folder, and I pulled out the piece of paper, and I saw where I had wrote down the name of the book. And the name of the book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's actually this book right here. And I'll tell you, this is kind of a cool story. And so I remember that book, and I was looking, as I was looking at the title written down, just words that I had written down months before. It said Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And as I was looking at that, I knew, I don't know how I knew, but I just knew that I had to read that book. That book contained my next step. It contained something in there that would help me get to the next level. And so that gave me a little bit of hope, and not necessarily excitement. It was just kind of hope. I was like depressed. I was down and out and wanted to just not be here anymore. I just knew that book was, it had the answer. I had no idea. It's strange. It's a strange thought for me, especially back then, because at this time in my life, I had literally never read a full book cover to cover, ever. I was graduated high school. I made it completely through school without ever reading a full book cover to cover, a real book. I had read like those 10-page books, like, or I don't know, read a book like this with like 8 pages. Yes, read those. Little story books with 5 pages. Yes, I read those. Never read a full, like a real book with over 20 probably pages until that night. This was in 2008, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And so this was years after graduating high school. And so that was a little strange for me to see this and have this knowing, this thought of this book contains my answer that I'm looking for. But anyway, I knew it. It was a dominant thought. And so that was enough for me. I said, okay, I need to go find this book. And so I got in my car. It was an old Honda Accord. It didn't even have, it was a manual transmission, didn't even have third gear. I was like switching it stuff, barely had enough gas in it to get myself to the bookstore. No money in my bank account, no money. I mean, like $6. I think I had like 18 or 20 or 30 bucks more that I was going to be like in cash that I was depositing into the bank the next day. And so I didn't have a lot. So I get in the car, I drive to the bookstore. I knew I had enough on the debit card to, like I said, cover approximately half of what would pay for the book, and then I could throw that cash in there the next day, and it would actually cover it. But barely enough. It was barely enough to buy this one book. So I get into the bookstore. I walk up. I find the book. The only problem was they didn't sell it as a single book. The only way that I could get this book was to buy it in a 3-book set. And actually, these are the 3 books. These are the actual 3 books. Well, these 2 are the 2 books. This book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this is an updated copy. This is like the 3rd or 4th copy that I've owned because I keep giving it away. I've given this, but I always rebuy it because I just want to have it. I want to have it here because it was a very pivotal book for me in my life. And so I noticed that I can't buy the book by itself. I got to buy it in three books. And it's like $70, 60 or 50 or something. It was more than I had, like twice as much as I had. I was planning on spending, maybe $20 for the book. But now here I am, the only possible way to get this book that I knew somehow weirdly that I needed, but now I didn't have enough money, and so I was at a roadblock. I knew that the overdraft, like even the overdraft wouldn't cover it. It would cover it like tonight to get one book, but not like it wouldn't go because of the way that I had, the bank was set up. And so I go up to I take the 3-book set and I go up to the checkout. I asked the lady to see that's working behind the counter. There's a bookstore called Hastings. It's not even, it's like, I don't know, 10 minutes from where I live now, but it's not here. The bookstore's not here anymore. So I go up there and I ask, do you sell this as a standalone book? And I explained to her that I only want this one book. I can't, but I can't afford to get the whole 3 books. And so the guy behind me that was in line behind me, as I was talking to her, he came up, he was checking out. He heard the conversation and he offered to pay for the whole book set, like to pay for he was like, don't worry about it, I'll get it. Right there for me on the spot in the store. He covered the cost of it. He bought the whole 3-book set. And it wasn't a huge expense. I mean, looking back, it wasn't anything massive. But at the time, for me, it was monumental. It meant the world to me. It was everything. I didn't know, like I didn't even know how to properly accept that gift. Nobody had ever done anything that big of a deal for me at that point, especially not a complete stranger. And so I very much remember the experience. And so the guy behind me buys it. I went out. I remember I said thank you, and I don't know if I shook his hand or hugged him, or I don't even know what I said. But I went outside, and I remember as soon as I sat down in my car and shut the door, I started crying hysterically in the parking lot outside of this bookstore. And it was a very pivotal moment for me, because that book, I ended up reading this book. I read it in one night. Never having read a full book before, never had an interest. Like I was so bored after like 2 pages of reading in every single book, but I hung on to this book. I read the entire thing, addicted to it. Like I could not put it down. I read it in one setting. I think maybe I stopped once to get up and go use the bathroom. It was like 4 a.m. When I had to like my alarm's going off to go to work, and I'm finishing up reading the book. Didn't care, revived, full of energy. Like I found, I don't know, it was like the secret to the rest of my life in that book. It completely changed the entire course of my life. Gave me a new set of money rules to live by. And that book is what led me down the path of entrepreneurship. It's all because of that book. I mean, the name of it, if you've not read the book, it's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, what the rich teach their kids about money and the poor and middle class do not. It's a very popular book. New York Times, it's a bestseller book. And it says up here, the #1 personal finance book of all time. And so it's a very, very powerful book, just the concepts in terms of financial security and financial education, right? Financial, like, I don't know the word I'm looking for. Education's it's fine. And so that book completely set me on a new course in life. It changed the entire course of my life. It gave me a new set of rules to play by. My life has never been the same since reading that book. I remember in the next like 3 days, I ended up reading these other 2 books. So I read this one the first night, and then the next book was Cash Flow Quadrant. This is book 2 in the set, and then this big thick ass book, Guide to Investing. Like I never would have read books like this, but I was hooked. And that is what led me down the path. And it all started from this book, which I would not have even had this random stranger in the bookstore not have purchased and volunteered to purchase this book for me. And so my life has never been the same. I now have the freedom to live a life that I was dreaming of back then. Like I had no idea how to make it happen. That book put me now that book didn't contain every answer, but it led me down the path and it led me to the next step. And my life's never been the same for me. It's only possible because of that one stranger's random act of kindness that one day. So my point in telling you this is it's Wealth Wednesday. All right, today is Wednesday, and so it's Wealth Wednesday. And so inside of our group, and like I said, this is something I get from Ray Higdon's group, but every Wednesday, the action step for our team group is go do a random act of kindness for a stranger that involves a financial exchange. And there's multiple reasons behind doing that. I kind of broke down why that's actually a good way to create wealth for yourself. I talked about that last week, but there's multiple reasons to do it. But the one big reason is you never know how a random act of kindness can change somebody's life. You never know. Like I have no idea what my life would have looked like, how long it would have took me to find this path. This book changed everything for me, and I would not have been able to get it if the guy didn't offer, because I couldn't afford it. And I've since went on to apply the stuff that I've learned in there and start businesses and build businesses and grow businesses and better manage my money. And like I've created wealth because of that book. I've opened up a lifestyle possibilities because of that book. And it wouldn't have ever been possible if had the random stranger guy not done that for me. And so my point is, you never know how a random act of kindness will affect somebody's life. You never know if the person is, now I was depressed. I wasn't suicidal. I never have been, but you never know. Like if I wouldn't have been put on this other path, I may have killed myself down the road, because like I can't even fathom the idea of going of work, like exchanging hours for money to build somebody else's dream. I just the old model that's all I knew back then. I can't even fathom that now. So who knows? I mean, maybe it would have driven me crazy had I not done it. But the point is, you never know. You never know. Like the person behind you at Starbucks may be so depressed they're buying their last coffee and they're going to go home and kill themselves. You never know where somebody is at. You never know how down somebody is, how unhealthy somebody is. You never know in how your random act of kindness could positively affect their life. And so I would like to invite you today and every Wednesday, but you know what, it doesn't even have to be on Wednesday. You do your own version of Wealth Wednesday. What is Wealth Wednesday? Simply do a random act of kindness for a stranger that involves a financial exchange. The reason we do a stranger is because there's no attachments, there's no yuckiness with it, there's no just funky thoughts that keep me from experiencing the benefit of giving, because I'm worried that they might be thinking it's for a different reason, and there's no funkiness of thoughts on their part either. They can fully receive it. If it's just a stranger doing something randomly kind for you, then you get to benefit more so and they get to benefit more so. The reason that we involve a financial exchange is because that's the opportunity. It gives us the opportunity to go and do that random act of kindness for the stranger and make the connection in our head that the more money that we have, the more successful we are, the more random kind things that we can do for people. And by making that connection over and over and telling that story as we're doing the random act of kindness, by doing that over and over, we create a life for ourselves where we start to chip away at that negative money mindset that is the single thing that keeps us from being wealthy anyway. And so there's a lot of reasons behind it. Like if you missed last Wednesday's broadcast, go check that out, because I talk more so about how you can use random act of kindness to actually improve your own personal financial situation. It seems like an absurd claim, I'm broke, I can't afford to pay my bills, yet you're telling me the first step in fixing my money situation is to go spend more money on and give it to somebody else and do it randomly, do something kind. I am, but there's a little bit more to it than that. But because it's in the mindset that you fix it. I'm not going to go into it deep here because we're already at 25 minutes, but you can catch last Wednesday's broadcast if you're interested in those benefits. But I just wanted to pop on and tell you this story, and I hope you got some value from it. More importantly, I hope that you take action from it. Hopefully it inspired you to maybe participate in your own version of Wealth Wednesday today. And it doesn't even have to be only on Wednesdays. You can do this any day of the week. But go do a random act of kindness for a stranger today. If you got value from this, let me know in the comments. Let me know, tell me that you got some value. If you know somebody else that needs to hear this message, or you think they might like this message, then share it with them. I would appreciate it. Hopefully they would as well. And so yeah, there we go. By the way, yesterday was a pretty epic day for me. Of recording. I recorded a lot yesterday. I recorded 15 new videos for a brand new marketing mastery training program that I'm creating. And so those of you, it totally has nothing to do with Wealth Wednesday, but those of you that are into marketing and like wanting to put out more effective marketing that actually gets results, if you're into that sort of thing, I think you'll really benefit a lot from these 14 videos that I just recorded yesterday, or these 14 days. It's a 14-day training program, little short video training every single day. It's not ready yet. I just finished recording yesterday. They still got to be like put on the page and polished and all of that stuff, but they'll be ready soon. And so any of those of you that would like them or would like to be notified when they are ready, if you want to go through some cool marketing training videos, just let me know. Type the word mastery in the comments for this video, and that'll let me know that you want me to add you to the waiting list. And then as soon as that thing is ready, as soon as the videos are put on a page, I'll shoot you a message and let you know. And so that's all I got for you today. Hopefully you got some value here. And if you're not interested in improving your marketing, that's cool too. No big deal. I do hope that you're interested in participating in your own version of Wealth Wednesday, whatever that looks like. It doesn't have to be huge. You don't have to spend $50. You could spend 50 cents and give your change to the person behind you in the line at Starbucks. You could call up the school and pay for a kid's lunch. Somebody that's behind on lunch. You could buy a $5 gift card in a restaurant and go hand it to somebody that's eating in that restaurant. There's so many things that you could do. It doesn't have to be massive. But just as you do it, make the connection in your head, realize that, you know what, I enjoy doing these kind of things. And the more money that I have, the more successful I am, the more money that comes into my life, the more cool stuff like this I can do. And if you make that connection, I can promise you a couple of things. Number one, you're going to start shifting your negative money mindset to one of a positive money mindset, which then almost like magic just brings about more opportunities. More opportunities show up for you, more ways of acquiring money that you didn't previously think about. They just show up, sometimes seemingly out of nowhere. And so shifting your negative money mindset to a positive money mindset is a tremendous value in your life. And so that is my encouragement for you today. Hopefully you do participate. Hopefully you got some value from my story. I appreciate you guys. Taylor, it's good to see you here. Jeff Hernandez, I see you. Dina, I see you. Thanks for being here. Joe, I see you. Cash is in the house. What's up, Cash? Casey, what's up, my friend? I haven't seen you in a minute. Hope you're doing well. So there you go. Hopefully you found this story inspiring. You guys have an amazing day. I'm going to go finish up my day and go pick up my daughter, and we're going to decorate some Christmas trees. So you guys have a good one. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.